Okay guys, I've created this lecture just to go through the various stages of importing. The reason why I've done this is because people will start at different stages in this importing business model, depending on a few things, primarily your budget. If you've got more money, then you can probably start a little further down or a little further up the ladder. And if you were like me when I started doing this, I didn't have two coins to rub together, so I started right at the very beginning. But yeah, it also just gives you an overview of where you can take this kind of business model and how far you can take it, and gives you a good overview and an insight as to what you're letting yourself in for. Okay, the importing models. Choosing the importing model that you want to start with is very much down to your own circumstances. We will cover each one in detail, but advise you to start small and build. I always say that. I always say test the ice before you start walking on it. Even if you have a nice little bit of money stashed away, I strongly advise that you start off with arbitrage and maybe drop shipping just to get yourself acquainted, and then build yourself up, as opposed to finding a product, starting a brand and going in at the deep end, which will cost more and you won't have the knowledge or the experience maybe to proceed very well with that. Okay, so we'll move on to the first one, drop shipping. Drop shipping has been around for quite a while and used to be very easy and profitable way to make money. Like in most things though, once the word is out, everyone does it and the market gets saturated with the same products. Contrary to popular belief, I still think there's money to be made if the right techniques are used. There is very little risk involved, but the margins can also be quite small. Drop shipping is still something I still do now and again. Once you do drop shipping and that kind of middleman type selling, you kind of always have an eye for it. And if you see something as you're going through eBay and then you notice it's a little more expensive on Amazon or vice versa, and you know you can probably get in there and make a nice little margin on it, you do it. It's kind of just in you. For those who don't know, drop shipping is taking a product that either a supplier is doing on a drop shipping program, or finding a product on a marketplace and then selling that product on a different marketplace for a slight profit. Okay, there's a lot of controversy to drop shipping because there are actual specific drop shipping suppliers. They're quite controversial because they offer products and a lot of people are selling them. There's not a lot of margins and it just really becomes very saturated very quickly. But if you get creative and you look around, there are still great opportunities out there to do drop shipping. If you are short on the old cash flow, then I recommend you have a go at it. It's good. It's quite good fun as well, and it definitely gets you into the mindset of selling. And there's obviously going to be other people there selling the same products as you, and you're going to be competing with those guys. So yeah. It's a good starting block, but it's not something we're going to be doing in this course. We're going to be heading straight on to arbitrage. Now, arbitrage selling is harder to find products because you want to find a product with a supplier as opposed to finding a product that's already been sold or being that is already selling. I'll read the text. It's harder to find products with arbitrage importing, and that is the key to making it work. Once you've found your winning product though, making money is pretty easy. The profit margins are much higher, and once the work has been done, it can also be very automated. There is also more risk involved, as unlike drop shipping, startup capital is required. Okay, so like we said in previous lectures, there is money obviously needed to buy your initial stock in arbitrage, but also in previous lectures we've seen that it's not that great deal. There is very low MOQs out there on a lot of products on Alibaba, and that's becoming more and more of a common thing. Whereas a few years ago it used to be thousands, minimum order quantity was thousands. Now you're seeing a lot more minimum order quantities being being quite low, being much more easy to obtain. We do show you ways to lower that anyway in this course, but yes, you do need some startup capital, which does inherit some risk. But on the flip side, the reward is excellent. You can make an immense living and an awful lot of money just off of arbitrage selling, bringing those products over and selling them at a good markup on eBay, Amazon, and a lot of other marketplaces. So yeah, the arbitrage is definitely a great place to start, and for a lot of people it's where they like to sit for the entire time. They don't want to move on, and I don't blame them. But moving on, you can go on to private labeling. It is very much a natural progression from arbitrage. Importing. The private label method involves modifying your chosen products by way of color, shape, and design. It also has the beginnings of starting a brand, as you can add logos, etc. This gives you a great platform into launching a fully fledged business. You'd probably be having a fully fledged business anyway, but a fully fledged business is in a brand, an international name, if you will. Having this competitive advantage is easier and cheaper to do, and the rewards can be substantial. Okay, private labeling it differentiates your product from the competition. You can then bundle your products with other products and really come into the marketplace with a unique product that's completely different, and you can modify packaging as well. So yeah, private labeling is definitely the way forward. It costs more to do private labeling because a supplier has to make changes to how it produces the product. So it will in turn charge you for those privileges. It's not too much. Colors and adding your own logo on that per unit, not that great. Not a great amount of money, but it does add up. The reward is excellent if it's done correctly. Just changing a logo on a product, you're basically the same product as someone else, and it's just going to have a logo on it. That's not really going to cut it. It used to, but private labels become quite a saturated thing now. You see a lot of people who call OEM private label and vice versa. We cover this later in the course. Excuse me. Doing private labeling, but doing it correctly, the rewards can be very, very good. Okay, OEM and your brand. Obviously, we started this off with private labeling, but taking it to the next level with OEM is a big thing. Distinguishing OEM and private labeling, I believe, is important. It's become very blurred with the Alibaba marketplace, whereas they'll tell you we're offer OEM, and then they'll say we're going to put your logo on it. Well, that's private labeling. OEM is people who are wanting to redesign the product they're selling and add bits to it or make modifications to it, put an engine in it, whatever like that, you know. And that's more OEM, and that's more developing your brand and differentiating yourself from everyone else and making yourself a truly unique presence in the marketplace. Okay, I'll read the text. This is the path for those who choose to build big. If you have, for example, got 5 products that are selling and you have private labeled one just explodes, then you could focus on that product and dominate that tiny niche. Offer different colors, sizes, better packaging, a super grippy handle, an engine, whatever it is to make you king of your niche. This comes with way more expense, but you really do dominate your market, and you're a total master of your product. I mean, you've gone through all the stages. You know full well what sells, what doesn't sell in your product, what the customer likes, what the customer doesn't like. You've ironed out those creases. You've read the reviews. Now you've taken the product to a completely different level with OEM, with new designs, a super grippy handle. Who writes this stuff? A super grippy handle, an engine, or whatever else that they want. And you can completely move your product into the next league, leaving the competition behind. The risk is very high because there's a lot of expense, and you're putting a lot of trust into manufacturer, possible prototyping, and yeah, there's a lot of expense. But the reward, well, you know, you can have the next big thing, the next big product. It could be amazing. You know, it's massive. Okay, an empire. It's not really an importing model per se, but you know, you keep doing this same thing and you keep repeating it, and repeating this business model, eventually you will have yourself an empire. Building your business to an empire will take a huge amount of work and risk. This is for people who want multi-million-dollar companies and live for the hustle. Your products have become a household name and is selling everywhere. You may well have physical shops and expanded into other niches too. The risks are very high too, as you are now playing for the big stakes. Okay, that's exactly what it is. You've got your products and they're doing great. You're maybe gone and bought yourself a hotel and started an airline or whatever. But these things are not unfeasible. I'm not just joking around here. As you'll see as we go through the course, and as you'll see when you start making sales, the blueprint here, you will be putting your product that we know, because we researched it to be a hot selling product. We know it sells well. It may have faults, but that's great because we can work on those later in the course and later in the product's life, to put this product in front of millions of eyes, all over in different countries, all over the world. It's totally feasible to do that now. The e-commerce revolution is really happening, and it sounds very cheesy and salesy what I'm saying, but I really mean this. You are going to be buying product from a factory that has unlimited amounts of this product. You're going to be getting it at a nice cheap price. Admittedly, you're going to be paying more on shipping, but you're still going to have a huge markup on each unit when it goes to market. And that is very powerful. Combine that with the sales strategies that we're going to go through, and you're going to have a huge edge over anyone else on eBay, Amazon, and that, and be one of the top sellers. The money's there to be made. The opportunity is there to be taken. And talking about buying hotels and having an empire and things like that, that's not unfeasible. And I want you guys to think like that. I want you guys to drive forward and take what's there. Okay, I personally am doing this myself, and I love it. I love every minute of what I do here, and I want you guys to do that as well. Okay, I will see you all in the next lecture. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.